Hey everyone, on today's episode, Alex and I are talking all about the 5 things that your website absolutely has to have to establish trust and generate leads because of that trust. Hey everyone, on today's episode, Alex and I are talking all about the top 5 ways to figure out if your website is working to generate leads for your contracting business, or is it actually hurting your business? So welcome back. Alex, what's up, man?
What's up, Logan? How you doing?
Good. It's been so long, I almost feel like I've forgotten how to do the normal intro.
I know it has been a while.
Yeah, it has been. So we're starting to get back into it. I got finally let back into the office, but we're still doing the distancing thing. So Alex, let's go ahead and we'll jump on into today's episode. So the idea of the top 5 things that your website needs, I'm going to explain this for a website, but the way that I came about learning this is when I first started this marketing agency, I didn't want to build websites. I wanted to just outsource them, right? This was a part that I said, you know what, that's not me. I'd rather just hire somebody else to do the websites and I will just do all the marketing, all the blogging, the Google stuff, the Facebook stuff. I don't want to deal with the websites. Well, after working with a couple different websites companies, I kind of decided, you know what, I'd rather just do this myself. It's like, hiring a subcontractor that it's tough to work with. And that's where I was unable to get my message across, to have the communication. It seemed like a website that should take 3 weeks was taking 3 or 4 months to do. It was not a good experience. So I said, screw it, let me figure this thing out myself. And then now, funny enough, it's actually like our step 1 of everything that we do is the websites. So it actually is, it's a big part for us. It's our front end, meaning it's like, this is what people hire us for, and then we try to then convert them from a website over to doing ongoing marketing services. But that's kind of our overall understanding of websites, and how we do them and how we came to actually do them. So Alex, let me ask you this. We'll jump into the 5 things, but for you, when you look on a website, when you are trying to research a company or research a product or something like that, what are you looking for? Like what are some things that would make you want to leave and go, screw it, I'm not gonna bother buying from them?
Number one is definitely like navigation or like ease of use. Like if I can figure out where I want to go easy, or like if I know, like usually if it has like those 3 dots, like the in the, like the left corner, so I can have options for like men's apparel or whatever. If that's not easy to find, I'll click right off of it. I don't want to be searching around for that long. So navigation is probably tops, and then um, if it's like too cluttered with text, like I want to see pictures, and like I like a lot of white space just because it doesn't feel like you're trying to sell me every single thing you have in your company, just the things that I'm interested in looking for.
Well, okay, well, give me an example. Like, what's a normal website you go on to buy something?
So what did I just buy? I just bought uh a bike like phone case holder. So I went on like Dick's Sporting Goods, and their their website was pretty, actually it was more cluttered than I thought it would be. They were trying to sell me pretty much every single bike holder they had in the first like 2 lines before I could scroll. So I was like, oh, this is cluttered, this is a lot. But then you go on like Target, and it's like each line has like just 2, like just one, this one's good, this one good. You like scroll down, so it makes the page longer, and actually makes you think that you have more products because you're spending more time on the page than just like this cramped 8 of them are in this one thing. And it actually like made me buy from Target over Dick's. I think it was like $2 more expensive at Target, just because I was like, it was just so much easier to check out and use.
So that's one of those things that, like, Amazon, I mean, Target, Dick's, Amazon, all those e-commerce sites. I mean, you would talk about ease of use, best practices, and we'll get in the top 5 things that we look for. You may not realize it, but it's a huge factor into everything. Because I know, like, it's one thing to be on my computer searching for this stuff, but if I'm on my phone and I can't easily find it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go, screw it, I'll just do this later when I'm on my computer, and then I forget about it. So if a website's tough to navigate on a cell phone, you're losing a lot of people because they may have the same mindset as me, as where you want to strike iron while it's hot. let them buy or let them reach out while they're ready to. But if they say, I'll just come back later, well, maybe that feeling or emotion of them wanting to buy is gone.
Yeah, a big thing for me has been when I put something in my cart and then I want to keep searching though, because I just want to save it because I like it. And then I want to keep scrolling. And the hardest part is to go back and you have to start all the way from the beginning. And I'm like, that is the most annoying thing for me. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's designed so you just buy what's in your cart or if that's just how it is, but like that's a big thing too, that I would go to a different site and be like, I got to find something else because I don't want to go back to the beginning if I'm on page 4 already of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, or it's worse is like when you have stuff in your cart and you can't figure out how to get back to your cart.
Yeah, that too. That's a big thing for me that I realize a lot of websites have a hole in that.
Yeah, because the big dogs have, I mean, they have teams dedicated to this stuff because they realize that, like, if they change one thing and they increase the amount of people that buy by 1%, well,
Mhm.
1% in a contracting industry that's doing $1 million a year, that's 10 grand. Now you look at Amazon, 1% is $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
So it plays a pretty big factor. So $1 billion is not a small amount of money, and for them to hire a team of people to make that probably make combined maybe like $1 million a year, this team is investing $1 million a year worth $1 billion for Amazon. It is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You
and a
think
lot of people fall. Go ahead.
all right. You think Amazon's website is very cluttered? Because even though it's Amazon and you're more inclined, I think, to buy because it's Amazon, I find that their website is pretty like cluttered with stuff.
I like Target's website because it shows nice big pictures. They do a good job where it's like if there's a shirt, it's on a model. It's
Hmm.
not just like Amazon, because Target runs Target. Some
Yeah.
other like actual like companies run their own Amazon accounts. So you could
Mhm.
have some stock image, and it could just be a T-shirt of somebody just holding a freaking T-shirt up, and that's like what you're gonna buy. But Target does a good job where they have like models that step in and showcase whatever it is. Other websites even do a better job. I love it when they have the size of the model. So to say, hey, this guy is 6'1", 185, and he's wearing a size medium. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not 6'1" or 185, so maybe, maybe I'll get a small, or I will get a medium, whatever it is. So it actually kind of gives you a bit of a understanding of what you're about to buy, because that's like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I have gone to buy something, and then I'm like, well, I don't know if this is gonna fit, so I'm just not gonna buy it.
Yeah, that's me too. That I'm very conscientious of like ordering clothes online just because I'm like, is it gonna fit? I'll get a big one. Hopefully, I can shrink it, and then it's like never your size. So if there's no size chart, I won't even touch it.
Yeah, and they have those the shoe things are awesome because what they have is they now have it where it's like true size, where it's like, hey, if you wear a 10 in Nike, this is what you are in this. Because like every pair of boots I buy, like I usually wear a 10 or 10 and a half, but every pair of boots I have to get like a freaking like 4 because like they run massive.
Hmm. Yeah, that's me too. I like the Nikes. I like them like a little looser, but I wear like a 10. And then in anything else, like boat shoes or work boots, like I get like an 8.5, 9 because
Yeah,
tighter of a fit. So yeah, I've trust me, I've returned plenty of boots to figure out my exact size at this point. But
I've done the same thing where I'm like, oh, I'm a size 10, and like the shoelace, like the beginning of the shoelaces is like where my toe ends. And I remember I'm like in like 7th grade, like out in the field trying to like use a shovel, or like use a wheelbarrow. That was even worse. And I'm like walking this wheelbarrow up a hill, and like I'm effectively have it's like trying to use a wheelbarrow with uh snorkel gear on.
yeah, the worst is when you're outside working and and your foot's sliding in the boot because you know it's too
Yep.
big. Like the most embarrassing thing because you got all the guys that are ragging on you because you're like, oh wait, you don't know your shoe size? What do you think you're bigger?
Yeah.
Stuff, and it's like, no, I just I don't know, but yeah,
So a lot of these fears that we all have that we're talking about with shoes, imagine if you're a shoe company and you address all this stuff on the site, right? You're talking about, hey, are you afraid that this boot is going to be massive? Well, here's how we alleviate that problem. So let's go ahead and jump into the top 5 things that we assess on websites. And what you're going to hear is this is, yes, it's going to be for websites, but this is really more for business as a whole, right? Like it's not just websites, but we used to overcomplicate websites. There's a lot of website companies out there that say, I'll build you a website and it'll get a bunch of leads. And what they do is they inundate the shit out of it with words and text, because they're like, well, this is SEO. We want to get you to the top of Google. But what generally happens is they may get you to the top, but if you're in an industry where speed is everything, meaning like roadside repair or like a locksmith or something like that, where somebody needs to hire you right now, then it may not matter as much. You know, you just need to get front and center when people need you the most. But if you're a long-term sales cycle contractor or business where people are searching for a little bit of time and this and that, just because you're number one doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the business, especially if your website is just all text and you're in a visual industry. So the first thing that we want to talk about is the first piece that we look at websites for is the initial gut reaction. Is when you come to a website, you generally have about, I think it's like 50 milliseconds to decide if you like this company or if you don't like this company. And the whole time after you make that initial, and it's just like a gut reaction. Like we talk about, don't judge a book by its cover. 100% of like being judgmental, like that's how you make decisions in this world, is by being judgmental. So a website, the initial gut reaction is, if it's a good reaction, well, great, you're good. Now, if it's a bad reaction, well, now the rest of your website, your job is to try to dig yourself out of a hole that you've already put yourself into. So, Alex, with this is kind of like, have you ever called somebody, called like, let's say a customer service hotline, and you got like a shitty response?
Yeah, like literally last week, Walmart tried to return something over the phone, and they were like, "Now you gotta come to the store." I'm like, even during this pandemic, they go, "Yeah," and hung up. Like I wasn't even done talking, and they hung up. And I was like, okay, you know, well, it's Walmart, but like still, I'm like, I don't even want to deal with it. So
The coffee that I'm drinking, because we don't have a coffee machine here anymore, is a drive-through coffee place right here in downtown Charlotte. And I drive up and it's drive-through, and there's nobody that says, hey, I'll be with you in a second, or hey, how you doing? Give me a second. Nothing.
Mhm.
So at that point, I'm sitting there for maybe 10 seconds and I'm like, I wonder if somebody's gonna like say something.
Yeah.
So my first reaction within the first 10 seconds was, nobody is there to help me out. And literally after about 5 minutes of sitting there and nobody came, and I'm like, excuse me, are you guys there? I ended up leaving, which is probably 4 minutes longer than I should have waited. But like the first thing was, if I would have put up and said, we're sorry, we're really backed up, I'll be with you in a couple minutes, I would have waited.
Which most of them do. That when you pull up, they'll be like, "Hey, I'll be with you in a second," and that's fine. You'll wait, but yeah, they don't say anything. It's like, you guys even open?
Right. So with your website, if it looks cluttered, like from the get-go, like what Alex is talking about on Dick's or any of these other websites where you're buying, but they're throwing 85 products at you at once. If your first reaction of somebody's website is not good, then it's the same thing as somebody driving up to your house, a contractor driving up to your house as a homeowner, where the truck is all beaten up. They throw the cigarette butt out the window. They hawk a loogie, and then they're all tattered, like they look terrible. Like that's the first reaction. And even if they're the nicest person, you've already got this judgment about them. And the website does the exact same thing, where if you overload somebody, or if it just, like with the text, what happens is 94% of people will determine if they want to read the rest of your website or a page or anything like that based on how it looks, not based on the content. Like you could say, hey, look, read this, and you're going to absolutely love what you read, but only 94% of people, 94% of people are going to actually see what it looks like before making their decision.
Yeah. How many times do you go on a website and you like scroll up and down a page before you like read anything?
100% of the websites.
Dude, I bet a lot of people are like that. I bet
They
99%
all
of people
do.
are like, and it's like, it's very rare that you stop and you're like, "Ooh, what's this top left button?" Because if it's super long, if it's super hard to like understand your quick scroll, you're out. It's just that simple.
Yes, it has to be set up in a way that entices people. Like they talk about like we put a bunch of like software on different contractors' websites that we built their websites for to record, video record, screen record, excuse me, how people are using it. And they all come in, scroll up and down. And what they're actually doing is the images that we put on the page, they're stopping on those images to then determine if they want to read the text that goes with it.
Yeah.
Because we did on cell phone where they would scroll down, stop, look at an image, and then scroll down a little bit more, and then hover there for about 10, 15 seconds because it's like short little paragraphs. And then they keep scrolling up another image they like to see, things like that. So instead of just putting massive blocks of text on things, that is going to steer people away. We break it up. And that's like your first reaction is, how does it look? Because, first impressions are everything.
Yeah, the worst is on your phone when you scroll up and down, you have like 3 scrolls of text that you have to get through to find a picture. It's the worst. So yeah, like how we did websites, like breaking up with pictures, like clear call to action buttons to kind of know this is kind of where we want you to go after this page. It's kind of nice that like you don't gotta think about really anything when you're just going to a website and you just follow what they want you to do.
Imagine if you had to go on Wikipedia and read about something and they didn't have any headlines or subheadlines.
Oh,
Like if it was just one long thing of text.
It'd be a disaster.
It wouldn't work. You wouldn't go back on there because you would have to read through 18 minutes of text before you finally understood what you were looking for.
Oh yeah, like you look up an actor, you just want to see what movies they're in, but you have to read their entire where they were born, what high school they went to.
It'd be terrible.
Like, horrible.
So it's your first reaction is going to either convince people that your website is worthy of people checking it out, or it's going to freak them out, and then 4 or 6% of people are going to want to read it, and the other 94% are just going to go find somebody else's website who is way more suited towards just giving the people the answer that they want. So gut reactions are big. Number 2, ease of use. So let's talk about this Target website, Alex. When you wanted to go buy something on Target's website, what was the experience like? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Was it in the middle of the road?
Super easy. I mean, on my phone, the search bar was clear, so I could type it in. They separated by categories, but so I typed in bicycle, and they just came up with like, easy to read the filters because the bikes. I know bikes could be $1,600, but obviously you're not getting that. So it was like, yeah, okay. Do you want price, filter by price, all that? So it got me to where my criteria fit my budget basically, and then it was good. And then if they were sold out, they were completely faded out, not just like still in the same color, but like sold out at the bottom in like light gray, so you get fooled. And I thought that was appreciative. And yeah, it was just super easy. Like each scroll on my phone was like one bike. So every time I scroll, it was just next bike, next bike, next bike. And it wasn't, and they were big pictures, like you said, the price was there, and it was just super easy to understand from what I was looking for, which was just, I want a simple experience. That's it.
And that is everything, because if your website is, this is like the thing that I think we never stress this enough. Like when we build a website, our whole goal is for a contractor is to take a homeowner, figure out their path of how they typically hire contractors, which, let's say it's remodeling. The first thing that a homeowner wants to see is your work. Mm-hmm. They don't want to learn more about you started the company in 1985, because maybe your style of building is different than what they want. So the first thing that they want to see is, what can you do? So what do? We make sure that there's a button front and center that says, hey, you want to see our work? Check it out.
Yeah.
So it's big.
Yeah. Another thing that I really liked was the pictures were clear. I don't want to say HD, but like a lot of websites you'll see, they'll just get it off of like a secondhand site and it's blurry when you zoom in. But these were clear pictures that you can actually like kind of see the details of the bike, or you can see the details of the shirt. It's not just some blurry stock image, and it's only one of the side view of the bike. It's each angle, the tire, the frame size, it's all that. So that like as a contractor, if you're remodeling a house, no one wants to see just the one angle of the kitchen. They want to see the other angle. They want to see the back version. Like I see that a lot too, where it's just like one picture and they're like, oh yeah, you can't picture yourself from a wide angle shot sitting from, the living room from that. More pictures, clear pictures, same size. All that is little details that like make it so much easier for someone to use that you don't even realize.
And it also makes it look like you give a shit.
100%.
Which, I mean, unfortunately on Amazon, it's people go on there, they just find somebody else's image. It looks like they remove 80% of the pixels from it. So it looks like it was, it looks like it was like just taking a picture out of like, Mario Party, where it's just
Yep.
like 8 pixels wide, and then they put it up there and they say, buy my stuff, and then nobody buys it. But Target does a good job where they show you everything. So they guide you in the right direction. It makes it easy. And the reason that your website needs to feel easy is because if your website is hard to navigate, well, your website is generally, remember we talked about the first impression? This is the first impression of your business. So if you are making it hard on people to just to get a phone call, what do you think that says about what it's going to be like to work together?
It'd be really hard to work with you.
It's gonna be really hard to work with you, man. Like if your website's all over the place and it's scatterbrained and it's this and that, like it is not a good experience. Like that's exactly what is being told about your company. So whether you like it or not, your website tells a story about your company. And when you look at your own, you got to ask yourself, what story does this say about me?
Yeah.
If if the first thing that people see is the about me and here's why I'm the best, let me tell you, like, my whole backstory, then it just shows that you are narcissistic. But if it starts talking about, hey, maybe like here's a tiny bit of my backstory, but here's how my backstory actually helps you, well, it shows that you're more about the people.
Yeah, I think it also helps if you say you're in business since 1985. If you have a very modern website, it shows that you're very good at adapting to what's trendy as well. So people can get that instinct that, oh yeah, you've been in business for 35 years, but you're not just still building the same house you built 35 years ago. You're up to
Yeah.
date because your website's trendy.
Yeah, you just got to make it easy for people, because the easier it is for them to navigate stuff, A, the more likely it is that they're going to want to hire you, and B, you can actually pre-qualify them. So when we do it, we show the work first with the portfolio, right? Then we send them over to it could be the About Us page, it could be the actual service page, right? And then once they do one or the other, then we send them to the opposite. If they went to the service, then we try to send them to the About Us, or vice versa. And then last but not least, we end them up at the contact page. So if you go on any of the websites that we build, all buttons end up leading back to the contact us page, because at the end of the day, that's what we want them to do.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's just got to be simple. You got to funnel them. You got to guide them. People want to be guided. They want to feel like they're in control, but in essence, you're just saying, here's the path. Like, this is the exact way that you're going to go. And it makes for a better experience for both you, the contractor, because now people are more qualified, and the homeowner themselves, because they feel like they're in control and they never got confused.
Yeah, and this is like any contracting business too, no matter what you do. Like this is the same formula you can use.
We have on Premier, actually a couple pond companies' websites. Pond companies do two things really. One is they either come in and clean or renovate existing ponds, or two, they build a brand new pond. So when you come on to like Premier Ponds' website, it has two buttons on the right there, front and center, and it says I have a pond. Next to it is I want a pond, and the people either decide which, if they got a pond, they're going to click on I have one. If they want one, they click on the I want one. But if they click on, let's say, I have a pond, then it brings them to another page and says, great, you have a pond. What would you like to do? Either this type of cleaning, this type of cleaning, or renovation. So now, again, they're selecting. They're saying either A, this is a initial cleaning, meaning this is the first time it's been cleaned that I know of. B is, this is, I usually do it, but I just want you to do it this time. And C is, I just want to renovate this thing.
Yeah.
So again, they go, you know what? I just want to renovate this thing. And they click that button. And now we've just guided them to the exact thing. Go, okay, great. Based on what you're saying to me, this is what we suggest to do. And it's no different than sales. You know what the solution is, but you got to get them to talk about their pain, and then you bridge that gap of, here's your pain, I know my solution, how do I connect the two of those things together? So Alex is going, I need to get I need to get to work. But I'm a bike salesman. I don't know what Alex needs a bike for, but if I just said, hey, Alex, nice to meet you. Before you say something to me, let me tell you, I got a bike for you. You're going to go, well, you have no idea what I need. But if you said, hey, man, I just need a way to get to work, I can go, okay, well, let's talk about that. What do you know, how far are you trying to go? What's your, I guess, end goal? Do you want a bike that looks cool? Do you just want something that's functional? And then by the time you say it all, I'm like, great. The bike that I was going to sell you at the beginning is the exact same one, but I just got to bridge that gap to let you know that I'm quote unquote listening to you.
Yeah, you got to tie that emotion to it, where it's like, this is the bike you need for what your problem is. Which that's a great way to, like, in your website, someone who comes to a brand new site has no idea where to go from there. They just got the Premier Ponds URL, and then those options are like, oh yeah, I want a pond, and boom, you're already basically on the sales path, and they just got to the site. That's
and they're currently up. They made a bunch more sales, but they're currently up like over 250K year over year. And they said, I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, it's working. And it's because we redid the website last May. That's exactly what it was. Is we switched over to this new thing last May, and ever since last May, there's usually a lull in August. There was no lull last year. Usually in the wintertime, they can't do anything. It was nice, but they had a big project come through this January. So, there's a few other factors that go into it, and they're telling me, I'm like, how's everything going? And they're like, clients are calling us. And instead of us having to sell them and then tell them what the price is, they're saying prices. They're saying, oh, what's this going to cost? Like $1,500? And they're like, yeah. And usually it's like 12 or 1,300, but clients or prospects are coming in and saying, this is the price, right? And they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is.
Get it, yeah.
Because it's all value, but because they're being pre-qualified throughout the process, it's their close rates are higher, and the actual money that they're making is also higher because there's higher qualified people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a great layout for it. Instead of people wandering around and getting lost in the website, almost, it's just, this is where you're going to go right off the bat. It's a great idea.
Hey, let's take your hand and go.
Yeah, exactly. Here, I got you from here. You're on the site. You did your part. I got you from here. Brilliant.
And the people that want to go off, on a tangent and do their own thing, they're going to do that regardless. But the people that want to be guided want this.
Yeah. Do you find that the people that want to be guided are more likely to buy than people that are just kind of off on their own?
The people that are off on their own want to do more research for a lot longer. The people that just want to be guided are those that actually want to hire now more so, because they're like, look, Alex, I just want to see your bikes. Got it. Okay, great. Now I want to learn more about like how the bike is made. Okay, so it looks sturdy. I'm cool with that. Now I want to know what the process is to buy. But if I'm somebody that is on the disc assessment, like a high C, or I'm very early on in the process, I'm going to try to find like a section on your website that talks all about the bikes and the different options and where you get your bikes from, and do all this stuff. So it's really just based on personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like blogs, like people that love doing research, people that are the engineer mindset that love doing that stuff, they will find those blogs because they're all on the website and they're in like the navigation at the top. But the goal of the website is to allow people to get to the contact us page without ever having to click on that navigation. It's to guide them through the rest of the website in a straightforward fashion where we're guiding them, but they end up at the same spot at the end.
Yeah, no, I like their website just because it's for that reason. You can, no matter what your personality is, you can do it on that website. If you want to be guided or if you want to navigate, it's still very easy to do that.
Exactly. So number 2, ease of use. You got to make it simple. All right. So number 3 is going to be personalization of your website. What most website companies do is they overcomplicate things, right? We are fantastic at that, of doing that in our own craft. And a lot of contractors do that when they start talking to a homeowner about something. They confuse the shit out of the homeowner. Or as a website company, we say things like, oh, we're gonna build this website and generate a bunch of leads, and that is our way of saying we're gonna try to build this thing for Google and put a ton of words on there that we think Google wants, but we forget Google is not the client. the homeowner is the client. So with the personalization piece, you want to think of visuals that your homeowner or your prospect is going through. So Alex, let's think about your bike right there. So that bike of yours, you got your phone case, your phone holder that goes into it. What's the reason for it? Why did you buy it?
The phone case or the bike?
The phone case.
Phone
No, screw it.
case.
Let's go for the bike. The bike is better. Let's talk about the bike.
The bike, because I wanted to, during this quarantine, I kind of was always looking into getting a bike, and all of a sudden everybody had the same idea, and they were all sold out. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of exercise outside since you're not going to the gym, and home workouts can be very boring, and you don't want to do them. So I figured let's go on bike rides and explore the city a little bit, city of Charlotte.
Okay. So you want to get on a bike and you want to go explore the city of Charlotte. Why did you get that specific bike? Why didn't you get a scooter, or why didn't you get rollerblades? Why that bike?
I got a bike just because I think it's more of a leg workout. And as a kid in middle school, before I got a car, I was always riding my bike around town. So it kind of brought back some memories. And I got a mountain bike specifically because in case I wanted to take it, on trails and stuff like that, and not just ride on the street, it can do all that.
Okay, so I guess that would also, if the trails aspect of it would also kick out probably rollerblades, because there's not too many rollerblades that are going to be crushing it in the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that. So now we have a bike, and it's a bit of a mountain bike. It goes off-roading. Where around Charlotte are you taking this thing?
For right now, it's just around these little walking ways, greenways, or whatever you want to call them. Eventually, maybe take it to the Whitewater Center, check out those trails. That's kind of it for now until I can venture out and find some new stuff.
So if that bike is on a website, and it doesn't just say you're going to love this bike because it's got 24-inch wheels, it's got 21 gears, it's got this, it's got that. If it said, look, this bike, if you were trying to be able to drive, ride around uptown Charlotte with it, or take it to the Whitewater Center, this bike can do it all. I mean, how much more special for Alex does that make that bike feel?
I mean, it would describe exactly what I needed. And when I bought the bike, it kind of checked off all those boxes anyway. Entry level mountain bike, nothing too serious, just trying to get outside. This is perfect for you. It just like spoke to me instead of just like, yeah, 24-inch rims or whatever. This bike is good quality.
Yeah, right. Like that's like, does that, unless you're like a bike nerd, which is a whole different ball game, most people aren't.
No. Yeah, no one really cares about the specs unless you're a bike nerd or you want to go. That's when you go to a bike shop. But for me, I just wanted to like fit my lifestyle, and that's how they tailor the description. So I was like, yep, don't need to look anymore. Sold.
Exactly. So it's got to feel personal. So when a homeowner is looking on your website, it has to feel like you're speaking directly to them. Like it has to feel like you are addressing their exact problem, not the problem of, if you're the best contractor out there, if you're the best this or the best that, the problem of, can you solve whatever underlying emotional need that the prospect needs you to solve? Which in Alex's case is he wants to feel adventurous, whether it's downtown Charlotte or it's up at the Whitewater Center, which is like this massive man-made, like where like they do like kayaking and stuff, but they have a bunch of like mountain bike trails and stuff like that. So it has to feel like whenever the person's reading it, they are being spoken to, which is exactly like if everybody in your area, if most of the homes that you service are from the 50s, right? Think about what's going on with the 50s kitchen. It's very isolated. It's really meant for like the help. Like that's really what it was set up for. And it doesn't play anymore. It's 2020. That stuff doesn't work anymore. But if you just said, hey, look, we're going to build a kitchen that you're going to love, that's great. But if we said, look, if you currently have a 1950s kitchen, which it feels cramped, you have to yell around corners to talk to your kids or talk to your spouse, it's frustrating. So let us, we want to step in. We'll help open the space up and give you a 2020 kitchen. And now what the homeowner's doing is going, that's me. I have a 1950s kitchen and I want a 2020s kitchen. And they feel like you're speaking to their heart, not just to their wallet.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And you need your website to, display that modernization of 2020 as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's got to back it all up, which gets to our next point, which is show it. Part number 4 of your website is you need to show what you're talking about. So, Alex, when I ask remodelers, say, who is your ideal client? Why are you better? What percentage of them do you think say we go for upper middle class and people like us for our quality and our experience?
100%.
100% of people. I have never met somebody that has said I do lower end remodeling. Never met somebody that says that. And I've never met somebody that says they like us because we always finish on time, or they like us because of our 5-step process to get started. It's always quality of work or expertise, and then our overall customer experience, all of which every other person on the planet says the exact same thing. So how do you differentiate yourself? You show it. So let's talk about what that looks like. So let's just talk about the overall customer experience. What goes into a good customer experience, Alex?
I would say tonality, the way you speak to them, it's not rude, you know, making them feel like they're in control of the space, giving them what they want, not being a burden to them during the project, just being helpful, I guess.
Okay, so that's communication, and it's not being a burden in their space. So that's 2 things that, let's say that's what we're talking about as far as good customer service. So it's communication. How can we show we have good communication? This is things like if you've got Builder Trend, where it's a project management software where it keeps the builder and the homeowner on the exact same page because it kind of sets out checkpoints, right? Or if you have testimonials from clients that say it was fantastic communication throughout the whole thing, you can sit there and say it all you want, but until you show it with some proof or something that supports what you're saying, doesn't mean shit. On the other side of things, hey, we want to keep you comfortable in your space. How do you do it? If you're doing a kitchen remodeling project, do you set up a second kitchen? Or show how you like show it. Like that's literally what we're trying to do, is we're just trying to say, look, you can say this all you want, but seeing is believing, and we need a way to actually show what we're talking about here.
Yeah, nobody wants to just hear how, oh yeah, we modeled this beautiful 2,000 square foot house with their beautiful kitchen, and we built an island from scratch, and then see no pictures of it, or just see one small pixelated picture of the before and the after. Like, no, take a video or something, show me the process, like put it on your website. Like, I don't care what you wrote down there, I want to see it, and seeing is believing.
People are afraid of hiring a contractor and the contractor doesn't show up after they're done, or a website company and you need something updated on the back end, when everything is all said and done, and you call the website company and they go, okay, I'll update your website, but it's going to take me 6 weeks. Like, 6 weeks for what? So instead of just saying we're there for you, talk about that. If you have warranties or guarantees or anything like that, put those up there, because you could say, hey, we're going to take care of you when it's all said and done, but if you actually have a guarantee or a warranty program or something like that, put that up on your website. Show people that you're there, not just say it.
Yeah, it's almost like you want to sell yourself before you even ever get to the phone with them, so they have all this understanding of what you do, what you provide, and then you get on the phone and they're already ready. They're already on stage 3 of the buying process before you talk to them.
And that's the goal, is it's a more qualified conversation, because if you can address a lot of these issues preemptively, right, you're effectively handling, it's not objections, but it's areas of concern. If they're afraid that you're going to leave them hanging, how do you address that beforehand? If they're afraid that you're not going to communicate through the process or the project, how do you show them this beforehand, before they call? So what we're effectively trying to do is anything that's going to scare them or stop them from calling you up, we want to get ahead of that and say, look, we're just going to call it out instead of waiting for you. It's the same thing where it's like, Obama smokes weed, right? If the news finds out about that, it's a scandal. But if he comes out at the beginning of his presidency and says, by the way, I used to smoke weed, well, now he's a hero. Everybody, oh wow, he's so honest and so forthright and so, but it also, so that's the position you're in. But then on top of that, you look trustworthy. You look like you're setting yourself up and you're getting ahead of it. And then people who like you don't have to do all this selling on the phone. The idea is that it's a more qualified conversation because they know everything about you. So by the time they're calling you, their decision is made. You're not selling, you're just taking an order.
Yeah, you're not acting like you have something to hide. Everything's out in the open.
Exactly. So that's the show me piece. And the fifth and final piece of a website that you want to look for is basic website convention. What I mean by basic website convention is there's a beginning of a push where people are doing things very differently on websites. Okay. What I mean by this is they don't have a contact us button in the top right corner, right? They have nowhere you can't find their phone number, or the logo is not, like, just things that are out of the norm. But us as consumers, we assume things are going to be in a very specific place. And if there's no contact us up button up in the top right corner, we have a little bit of anxiety that happens. It's kind of like, when you get in a car and it's somebody else's car and you got to pull over and turn on your hazards and you can't find the hazards, like what emotion do you go through?
Panic almost. It's like that when you
Right.
open the trunk too. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or you pull up to the gas station and you can't find the gas button.
Mm-hmm.
It's there somewhere, but when it's not where your left hand is or at your left foot, you have a mini brief, and once you finally figure it out, it's fine, but we don't want to give people an excuse to leave.
Yeah. No, you want to keep them completely engaged. So like people's eyes are naturally trained to go to the right-hand corner for the contact us or the phone number. So when it's not there, exactly, you're just like, oh my God, is this a scam? Like, is this not, they don't want to give the number. What's up with that? They're putting this doubt that doesn't need to be there, but really you could have just solved it by just putting it right where it's supposed to be.
And we try to get too cute with stuff where instead of having a normal menu at the top, it has just like the hamburger 3 lines, or it's a menu that's vertical along the side. Like, it looks neat, but right now, like, think of the other websites people are used to going to. When they go to Amazon, the cart is in the top right. When you go on Target, the cart is or the buy now is in the top right. So why would you not get or have the button that is the closest thing to buying now on your website in the top right corner?
Yeah, those basics I think have to be in the same exact spot across every website, because that's how people buy. You want to be different, but not in those aspects.
You're going to be different in the wrong ways, and people do this stuff where they're like, well, we gotta make our logo massive. Well, nobody gives a shit about you. Like, they don't know if your logo is Jordan, Apple, Uber, any of those, then yeah, you can have it big because they know you and you have a whole culture and a whole identity behind your brand, but you don't at this point. So, and very few brands do, like very few brands do. So, it's you gotta, you put your logo in the top left corner. You have, when somebody comes to your website, you have a couple call to action buttons. I mean, there's just basic website conventions that need to happen, and these best practices are there because you're not looking just at your website versus a competitor's website. You're comparing your website to all the other brands that your homeowner, your prospect goes on. And if your website is severely inferior to theirs, if your website and you're selling a $75,000 product is way worse than Mercedes, who's also selling a $75,000 product, guess which product the homeowner is going to choose? Mercedes.
Yeah. I think you touched on it earlier, where it's the if you've been in business for 30 years and you have a crappy website, but the guy that just started down the block, the 16-year-old, has a great website and he's following all these practices and he knows all this stuff, and he's gonna eventually steal your business, and you're threatened by him because he just has a website. That's it. Like, he's got a great website and you have a crappy one with pixelated pictures and there's no organization and you're just going for SEO. So I mean, that's the difference. Your 30 years go out the window just because of your website. Now that's how it is.
That's all it is. And I talked to a couple clients this week because this is like our big offer, right? This is the thing that we're really good at, is building these websites. And I said, what was the reason you called me initially? And it was part that and part also like, what's your number one goal in business? Like, what's the number one goal? And here's what I really learned is I learned that the contractors that we work with, they want to build wealth and build a legacy for themselves, their family, and their employees. That's their end goal. Yeah. So I talked to my dad. Dad, put you've already sold off 80% of your company, but put yourself in 10 years ago, Steve. what was the number one goal at that point? He said, my number one goal was to create as much recurring revenue as I could so I could sell the business. I said, why is that a big deal to you? He said, because I wanted to make sure that all the hard work I had put in was monetized. I said, that makes total sense. You know, Andrew, what's your number one goal? My goal, and he said, I want to leave a legacy for everybody around me. Great. You talk over, I called Todd. Todd, what's up with, you know, why did you call me? He said, well, I saw a guy down the street and I realized that some guy who I've never heard of, and then we've had this before with Rhea. Like I had a random guy call me up and say, hey, you're doing advertising for this contractor that's in my area. I've literally never heard of him before, but he looks like a major deal according to social media. And I was like, all right, I'll take that as a compliment. So you don't realize that when you have all these relationships, and this is why most people, like the contractors that we work with, they're generally a bit older. They have a lot of referrals coming in, but unfortunately, they realize that people our age, people 35, 45 that are now in their, you know, really in their ideal demographic, they don't shop. They don't just go straight up off recommendations. They don't go to their neighbor and say, hey, who would you use for a dentist? We all go online. And if you don't have your stuff set up online properly, then you are going to lose business to somebody who is brand new, who's got a handful of reviews that they got probably from, you know, maybe a couple clients, maybe from friends and family around the area. It doesn't matter. But between that and then their new looking website, I mean, think about it. You're actively, like most people that we work with, they generally do, like their close rate is about 25% as a whole. So if you think of all the new leads that you're getting each year, I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially if you're doing over $1 million a year. I mean, think of all the new leads that you're coming in. I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars that you are either losing or risking to some person up the street. So when you go, well, I don't want to spend 10, 15 grand on a website or whatever you're looking at, you instantly forget of all of the leads that are looking at your website and looking at somebody else's website. And if you're losing out to them, they are making that money. They're making the, you know, we looked at this, like we did some of the numbers, and like for some people that we work with, anywhere between 400,000 and 900,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, the 10 to 15 grand investment, most of the industries we work with, at least, you can make that up in one job, 1 or 2 jobs. Like
that's it, right?
So like the ROI is tremendous when you think about it. All you gotta do is if 2 jobs come off that website, you've already made it back your money and then some. So
in just the first year.
Yeah, exactly. So the ROI is tremendous, and that fear of not just a guy that's, you know, started the same time as you. Now the 16-year-old down the block could compete with me. That's the times now. So it's a real fear.
It is. It's unbelievable, and this is why I like it, because it's so like for me. I mean, it's how I sell, and we didn't even talk about the selling aspect of it, of how to sell using your website, which I think we have a whole podcast on already. But it's unbelievably useful because it connects with people. It brings people there. I mean, we look at the stats on the sites that we have, and just by using these 5 factors, we're not going into all the SEO stuff. We're not going into what Google likes. We're not going into all the, you know, the strategic pop-ups that we have that captures people information. Just the straight up website that we have, we generally, because we use the analytics from old sites to the new ones, it like the time on page, meaning how long somebody stays on a certain page, like triples after we build a website. And because it's people enjoy the website more. And when people do that, Google goes, wow, clearly something about this website is good because people are staying longer on this website. So what do? Let's show this more. And that's how the SEO stuff starts to really take shape, is that Google starts to notice this. And there's still a lot of Google SEO conventions to it, but like when it's a good experience, not only are people staying there longer, enjoying it more, but Google is also taking note, which shoots you up to the top even more.
Yeah, I think if you're listening to this and you don't have any 5 of these, or you're missing a few of these, it's a great way where this is where you start and add those, or find someone to put those in there, because once you do that, it's way easier to sell jobs. Like you said, it's way easier to pre-qualify leads, and then you can add the fluffs, like you said, pop-ups and blogs and SEO and all that stuff to make it even bigger jump. So but these are the 5 basics you need to have.
Yeah, you can't even dispute it, unfortunately. Like, you could say, well, you need this. If I just said, look, in your business, you need 5 things. One, you have to have a good overall first experience, a first gut reaction for clients. That means if they call you, you don't go, yo, what's up? And you don't show up to their house in a shitty truck. 2 is it's got to be easy, because if you make stuff difficult on people, have you ever returned something to Amazon, Alex?
Yeah.
What's that experience like?
I mean, I've had good and bad experiences with it. I mean, I've forgotten the 90-day rule, but you basically just got to, put it back in the box and send it back. Just print out the return label. That's it.
Yeah, no questions asked, as long as it's not past 90 days.
Yeah,
super
exactly.
easy. And I've done it with AirPods, like a $250 thing, and they're like, cool, got it, no big deal. I'm like, all right, perfect. So super easy. Number 3 is going to be the personalization. It has to feel like you're speaking directly to their soul. When you speak to their soul, they take that and go, wow, they really get me. 4, show it. You can say it. We can speak about it all we want, the same way that we're saying and speaking about it on this podcast. But if we actually had pulled up a website and we walked through all 5 of these things, now you get it. And this is why when I sell, I don't just say, let me explain to you why the websites we build are the best. I say, let me just show you. It's easier. And part 5 is the conventions. Don't put people into mini fight or flight mode by hiding buttons, by doing things this cute way. It's got to feel normal to them, because if they come in with one expectation and you freak them out in the wrong way with another, it goes against that first impression. That's big.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Follow this step and you'll be very successful. You'll see the increase.
It's super easy. So everyone, thank you very much. Have an awesome day. And then if you're checking this out on YouTube, make sure you please like this. And then if you are on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, do us a favor. We've been slacking on reviews recently. We've had a couple come in, but it really does help out big time as far as like trying to grow what we're doing. So if you could do that, if you'd be willing to just to drop a little review, letting us know how we're doing, that'd be awesome. We finally got a review that's not a 5-star. Someone gave us a 3-star, and I don't even know what 3-star means.
Yeah, were we just all right? I guess.
I think so. Like I guess I'll listen to some, but I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's like it's a weird in the middle where it's like, hey, like the concept is great, but that one Logan guy has a lisp, or some like weird like that. I don't know. So either way, everyone, thank you very much. And if you want to learn more about this website stuff and you want a website, go to contractorgrowthnetwork.com. Go check out some of our sites, and we'll go from there.